If you're tired of making decisions that don't feel aligned, if you're burned out, feel stuck, or resistance is coming up in your life, I have the solution for you. In this video, we're going to talk about your sacral authority, which will only apply to manifesting generators and generators. And this is the decision-making process that will help you make the right decisions for you to step onto the path to your purpose. This is a must-watch video because every decision you take has a huge impact on your destiny. If you're curious to understand how you can remove any kind of resistance or fear in taking decisions and making decisions, then this video is for you. The authority in human design is the tool that human design gives you so that you can make the best decisions for you. Contrary to what we've been taught in the system, that we have to break our head over a decision we have to make, or that when we make a list of the pros and cons, that is the safest decision. If the last years haven't proven to us that safety is a construct, I don't know what will. So in human design, we learned that we all have an internal voice, a guiding system, a compass, that our body is way quicker and much more trustworthy than what our mind could ever conjure up. Like, our mind is fantastic to get inspired and to find solutions to our problems, but it's definitely not here to make the right decisions for us. We all have this inner guiding voice, and for you as a sacral authority, that is going to come from your sacral center. And that sacral center is at the height of your belly button and represents lust, desire, and creativity. Meaning that you make decisions from your gut. And there is so much languaging and so many sentences that are related to listening to your gut and trusting your gut to keep yourself safe. And so it really stems from this idea that as a generator, a manifesting generator, your authority is going to be the sacral authority unless you have an emotional authority, for which you can listen to this video, but you can also go and watch the video on emotional authority. The beauty of the sacral authority is that it's something that is very basic, it's very intrinsic, and it's supposed to give you full body chills. So the gut will always be a hell yes, or it's no, really not into that, okay? And actually, as a generator, manifesting generator, when you're aligned, you're going to make some noises. You will actually recognize other generators or manifesting generators when they are in their decision-making process because they're very expressive. Like, it's very hard for a generator or manifesting generator to hide what or how they're feeling about a certain thing. And so the sacral center is, as I said, the energy center that stands for desire, for creativity, and it is also your motor. So one of the things that characterizes you as a generator, manifesting generator, and if you haven't yet, you can watch the videos on your specific energy type here. And so this sacral center is your energy motor. It is what characterizes this consistent energy, which is who you represent within the human design system. And so as somebody who has a defined sacral center, you have authority in this energy, but you also have energetic dominance, meaning that you, when you are aligned and when you're actually in your zone of genius, know exactly what you want and what you don't want. As with all things in life, we come with baggage and we come with conditioning, which is what human design is here to help us move away from. And therefore, it is often that manifesting generators and generators have this people-pleasing tendency that doesn't allow them to really connect to their inner guiding system. And therefore, they can find themselves on the wrong path that is not leading them to their purpose, and therefore meeting with a lot of resistance, finding burnout, and things that are just not aligned. And this can lead to an incredible amount of frustration. So learning how to listen to your sacral center is one of the key components as somebody with a sacral authority to live an energetically aligned and purposeful life. The main key point for you to understand as somebody with sacral authority is that you're really here to respond to life. You're here to be in the moment. And I think that there's a lot of confusion within the sacral center because some of the things that you might have read on the internet is all about waiting to respond. And I believe that that is a very confusing language to use because The projector, which is a different energy type, has the strategy which is waiting to be invited or waiting for the invitation. And I think it's really important to highlight that as a generator or manifesting generator or somebody who has a sacral authority, you have nothing to do with the strategy that is meant for the projector. So please be wary of the things that you read and really trust yourself in finding 2-3 sources that you connect to, that you find trustworthy for you to get your information from, so that you don't get confused and leave any space where you're learning about human design more in doubt than before getting into it. And so back to understanding that the sacral center is really the key component of being in the moment. You have to learn to be present, to be able to honor your way of making decisions. And I feel, and what I've seen within my practice of doing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of readings for frustrated, burned out, and unaligned generators and manifesting generators, is that you are very much in the past or you are in the future. And that the worrying of the future doesn't allow you to see the amazing things that are happening to you right now in the moment. And so the way that your authority works is that you really can imagine that you have this incredible body of electricity and frequency around you. You have this incredibly magnetic aura in this field that is pulling things towards you. And so the sacral center is constantly guiding you for what is for you and those things that are not for you with this intense body reaction. If you're somebody who, since they were little, had to compromise a lot and wasn't allowed to actually listen to your own guiding system and thought you had to reject parts of yourself to be loved and accepted by your parents, the people that raised you in your environment, it might be more difficult for you to actually listen to what this inner voice is telling you, or you might be disconnected from this full body yes. The key element in understanding how you can start connecting to your sacral authority is that you start building a trust muscle and also allow your nervous system to understand that you are safe when you listen to your gut, that people won't stop loving you and that you won't be rejected or shamed for doing what you actually desire, but that is the only way that you can actually step into your energetic purpose, because when you start moving guided by your sacral center, that is when you generate that beautiful, powerful energy, that creative life force that is here to be injected within the world. And so once you start learning how to create this beautiful relationship with yourself and the trust within the universe, that you can rely on the collaboration of this beautiful energy to guide you along your path, that is when things will move into alignment. That is when resistance will leave. That is when you will find the right people and opportunities and chances will present in your life. You can access the Sacral Spa formula within the energy type film video library that I'll post in the description below. To be able to actually connect to that sacral center, there's one element that is going to be the most important takeaway from this video. And this will serve you, but in sharing it with the people around you that care for you, they will also be able to support you better. Or if you have a generator, a manifesting generator in your life that has sacral authority, this will ease the process and just bring a much more flowing vibe within your dynamic. And this is the yes and no question. Because your sacral center is basic in its way of reacting or responding to the world, it can really help you to have very clear, concise questions. So if a question is too broad, if you have too many questions in your life that you don't know how to answer, look at how wide the question is that you're asking yourself. So if you ask yourself, what are you going to do in 3 years? You're going to be like, you know what? I really don't know, because your sacral center has nothing strong to react to. It doesn't have like a hell yes or a hell no. It has like a, give me more. Okay. So what you want to do, you want to break down the questions that you ask yourself when you're making decisions. And so this can look like, hey, do you want to live in Mexico or do you want to live in the Swiss Alps? That's where your sacral center can react. And we can bring this down and like even something very small, like instead of asking, what do you want for dinner tonight? If you ask yourself, or if your partner, your parents, your siblings, whoever asks you, hey, do you want to have pasta or do you want to have sushi? Your sacral center will be able to react and it will ease the process for everybody involved trust me. And so if there's something that I want you to take away from that is that really learning how to embody human design is a process of trust and muscle building, and that the more you implement your authority and the more that you see results, you will be able to trust and rely on it more and more. When you have a sacral authority, doing the things that bring you pleasure and joy and that spark your creativity is going to be the key component. And often I say it's really important for you to stop compromising with other people and other people's desires, but I don't want you to think that this is something that will make you selfish, because selfish is one of the key words that a lot of times is the shadow aspect of trying to live a sacral authority. And so I want you to understand that the moment that you start tuning into the things that you love doing, you're generating this incredibly energy that is contagious. And that is when you actually step into your purpose. And so the contrary of listening to your authority is being again in your mind. Being in your mind is not the way that you will make the best decisions for yourself, but it's really connecting to that full visceral body experience. And therefore, the more you learn to tune into that visceral body experience, the more you will trust your decision-making process. And the more you trust your decision-making process, the more positive result you will see in your life. And when you see that incredible result in your life, that's when you will create more trust. And so I always say, action is the universal law of success. You need to try this out and see for yourself the magic that hides behind your beautiful sacral authority. If you like this video, please subscribe and hit like. If you have any questions about anything at all, please leave your questions in the comments. I love getting to know you better and answering all of the things. And therefore, thank you for your time, and I'll see you soon.